The late summer air clung to the neighborhood like a warm blanket as Alex Miller manned the grill in his backyard. The house, white, clean, familiar, stood in the golden light of sunset. Windows open to the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and soft jazz. Layla's choice, not his usual rock. It was their 10th anniversary, a decade of marriage, memories, and promises. And tonight, it all looked picture perfect. Friends, family, and coworkers filled the yard, beer in hand, music playing. Alex flipped steaks, wearing an apron that read, "Best husband in the world." A gift from Layla. She stood nearby, laughing at something Jack, his college best friend, had just whispered. Her red dress hugged her figure, her hair loose and shining. Jack leaned in a little too close. Layla laughed, covering her mouth. A strange twinge tightened Alex's chest. He shook it off. Jack was like a brother. Layla was his world. "Hey, Miller!" someone yelled. "You feeding us or just admiring your wife?" The group erupted in laughter. Alex smirked, hiding the unease. Patience. Burnt steaks for the impatient. Still, his eyes drifted back to Layla. She'd moved on to chat with Aunt Marge now, gesturing animatedly. Normal, familiar, safe. The party rolled on, booze, toasts, dancing, music off someone's playlist. Later, Alex stood on the porch with a beer, worn out from small talk. He looked over the yard, his life, and felt off. Maybe it was the jet lag. Being a pilot meant long absences, scattered time zones. But Layla was always waiting. "Beautiful night, huh?" David, Layla's father, appeared at his side, swaying slightly with a glass of whiskey, his gray hair wild, eyes a bit too bright. Everyone knew alcohol had been his constant shadow. Layla didn't talk about it, but Alex knew what her childhood had been like. "Yeah, it's great," Alex said, forcing a smile. "Glad you made it." David sipped his drink and stared into the distance. 10 years. Can you believe it? Alex chuckled, ready for a half-drunken speech. "Guess I'm doing something right." But David wasn't smiling. His gaze cut through him. "Wake up, kid, or you'll end up living my life, and trust me, it's not a good one." Alex blinked. "What are you saying?" David nodded toward the far side of the yard. Layla and Jack stood close, deep in conversation, out of the porch light. Jack leaned in again. Layla's smile, the one Alex used to think was his, lit up her face. "That's what I'm saying," David muttered before walking off. The words landed like ice water. Alex stared at them, Jack and Layla, whispering, too close. His heart pounded. He tried to brush it off. It was just David talking nonsense after a few drinks. Jack was his best friend. Layla was his wife. "You're not serious," Alex muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "It's Jack! Layla would never—" David didn't even turn around. "I thought the same thing, once." Then he disappeared into the crowd. Alex drained the rest of his beer, the taste sour. This is crazy, he told himself. Just a drunk man rambling. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the image. Couldn't ignore the way Layla smiled back at Jack, or how close they stood. And suddenly, nothing felt perfect anymore. By midnight, the party had wound down. Guests trickled out, leaving behind empty plates and half-finished drinks. Alex helped Layla clean up as the last goodbyes were exchanged on the porch. Jack lingered, hugging Layla a bit too long before clapping Alex on the back. "Hell of a night, man. You two, perfect couple," Jack said with that same easy grin. "Thanks for coming," Alex replied, his tone colder than he meant. Jack walked off. Layla shut the door behind him, then turned with a bright smile. "So, did I pull off the perfect anniversary or what?" She wrapped her arms around him, her scent, wine and perfume, immediately familiar. "You nailed it," Alex said, forcing a smile. She tilted her head. "You seem distant, tired." "Yeah, long day," he muttered, dodging her eyes. She kissed him lightly, lips brushing with intent. "We could keep the celebration going upstairs," she whispered, teasing. He hesitated, David's warning still echoing in his head. "Open your eyes." He pulled back gently. "I'm beat, Lay. Let's wait till tomorrow." She pouted, then laughed it off. "Fine, old man. But tomorrow, you're all mine." She headed upstairs. Alex stayed behind, alone in the dim living room, the quiet suddenly suffocating. He stared out the window where the yard still held echoes of laughter. Everything had seemed perfect until it didn't. He once believed in everything they had, marriage, kids, future. Now he wasn't so sure. 10 years and maybe he'd been blind. Maybe he missed signs that were right in front of him. His phone was in his hand before he realized it, Jack's name glowing on the screen. He stared at it, then looked up at the dark hallway where Layla slept. For the first time in a decade, doubt outweighed love. Later, lying beside her, listening to her soft, steady breathing, the silence didn't comfort him. It gnawed at him. He tossed and turned, mind spinning like a plane caught in turbulence. "Open your eyes," David had said. The words wouldn't leave him. Alex clenched his fists beneath the sheets. He wanted to believe he was wrong, but that gut feeling said otherwise. At 2:17 a.m., he gave up on sleep and crept downstairs. The house still smelled of grilled meat and spilled wine. He sat on the couch and reached for a forgotten bottle of bourbon. One sip burned going down. "You're imagining things," he told himself, just drunken paranoia from an old man. Still, he saw Layla's smile with Jack, her hand brushing his. Too familiar, too easy. Alex prided himself on his awareness. In the cockpit, he caught every minor shift. So why hadn't he noticed anything off here? "We need to talk," he thought. But what would I even say? "Are you sleeping with my best friend?" He winced just thinking it. She'd deny it, call him crazy. Maybe she'd even cry. He got up, pulled back the curtains, and looked out at the street. Quiet. Still. He remembered when they picked this house. She loved the garden. He loved the garage. Back then, they had dreams. Kids, trips, fireplace nights. But the kids never came. At first, they put it off. Then came the diagnosis. Layla cried. He comforted. They told themselves love was enough. Back on the couch, he scrolled through old photos. Layla on a beach, the two of them at Christmas, her laughing at his birthday. But now, each smile felt staged. Had he just wanted to believe it was real? A creak on the stairs. He shut off his phone fast. Layla appeared in one of his old shirts. Hair messy, eyes half asleep. "Why aren't you in bed?" she asked gently. "Just couldn't sleep," he said, tucking the phone away. She sat next to him, resting her head on his shoulder. "You okay? You seem off." Her warmth should have reassured him. It didn't. "Are you happy with me?" he asked suddenly. She looked up, surprised. "Of course I am, aren't you?" Yeah, just thinking. 10 years, it's a lot. "I want to make sure you're good." She smiled, ran her fingers through his hair. "You're being weird, Miller. Go to bed. We can sleep in tomorrow." She stood and tugged his hand. He followed, but the weight in his chest didn't budge. Watching her walk up the stairs, something about her seemed different, confident, or maybe he was imagining it. "Lay," he called after her. "If something was wrong, you'd tell me, right?" She paused on the stairs, then nodded. "Of course." "Sleep, Alex. You're exhausted." She disappeared down the hall. He stood there, staring at the spot she'd just been, wondering why her answer didn't feel like the truth. Monday hit like a hard landing. The alarm blared, yanking Alex from sleep. Layla was still out cold, face buried in the pillow, breathing soft and steady. He watched her for a moment, torn between love and suspicion, then got up. No more wondering. Today, he wanted answers. He brewed a strong cup of black coffee, same as always before long flights. Layla appeared half an hour later, fresh from the shower, hair damp, dressed casual. "You're up early. Got a flight?" she asked. "No, just some business in the city. I'll be back by lunch," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Maybe pizza tonight?" she offered with a smile. "Sure," he muttered, rinsing his cup. She didn't press. Maybe she didn't notice the tension. Maybe she just didn't care. Alex grabbed his keys and left, heading nowhere near the city. Instead, he drove to the outskirts to a rundown building wedged between a mechanic's shop and a 24/7 diner. Faded lettering above the door read, "Robert Kane, Private Investigator." Inside, the place smelled like smoke and burnt coffee. Kane, a grizzled man in his 50s with a scar on his cheek and a growl for a voice, looked up from a newspaper. "How can I help?" Alex sat down on a squeaky chair and tried to sound calm. "I need you to follow two people, my wife and my best friend." Kane raised an eyebrow. "Ah, the classic. What's your gut telling you?" Alex clenched his jaw. "They're too close." "I need to know if it's real." Kane nodded slowly, grabbed a notepad. "Give me everything. Names, addresses, routines." Alex gave him all he could. Layla's habits, Jack's job at a car dealership, his own flight schedule. Kane scribbled notes, asking pointed questions. Does she stay home alone? Does he visit without warning? Each one cut deeper. "How long will it take?" Alex asked. "A week? 2 tops? Depends how sloppy they are." Kane leaned back. "Photos, messages, whatever I find. 500 now, the rest later." Alex handed over the cash, money he'd saved for car repairs, and felt his hands shake. This isn't about not trusting her. he added, almost apologetically. I just need to know. Kane took the money, tucking it away without counting. They all say that, but usually people who come to me already know. They just want confirmation. Those words stuck. Alex walked out, slamming the door harder than he meant. Outside, he lit a cigarette. It shook in his fingers. He didn't even start the car. Just sat there, staring at the faded sign. Kane was right. Deep down, Alex already knew. When he got home, Layla was lounging on the couch with her laptop. Still up for pizza? She asked casually. Yeah, go ahead, he said, tossing his keys on the table. She hugged him from behind, cheek resting on his back. You're tense. Rough morning? A bit, he said flatly. I'll order your favorite, pepperoni. She kissed his shoulder and walked off. Alex watched her go, listening to her place the order, her voice light and familiar. But to him it now carried something else, something just beneath the surface. Faint, but undeniable. It had been a week since the party, but David's words still rang in his head. Open your eye, or you'll live my life. And now Alex couldn't unhear them. The weight of doubt had become unbearable. Layla still acted like everything was fine, smiling, cooking, kissing him goodnight. But every move now felt staged. The detective promised answers soon, but Alex wasn't built to sit and wait. He needed the truth, straight from someone who'd already seen too much. David. On Saturday morning, once Layla left for her usual market run, her weekend ritual of picking spices and herbs, Alex made the call. Alex, you know it's early as hell? David grumbled, voice rough with sleep. I can't sleep. Want to go fishing? David paused, then chuckled. Old pier, 1 hour, don't be late. Alex grabbed the rods from the garage, beat up and familiar. He threw them in the truck along with bait, a thermos of strong coffee, and a couple beers. By the time he reached the lake, David was already there, standing on the creaky dock in his usual plaid shirt and cap, a bottle of whiskey glinting beside him. You're late, David called. Layla, holding you hostage? She's out. I've got an hour. They cast their lines in silence, the lake reflecting the tall pines as the sun crept up. Alex poured coffee and handed David a lidful. Black, like always. David took a sip and winced. Damn. Haven't had sober mornings in a while. His smile faded. All right, what's eating you? You didn't come for the fish. Alex's throat tightened. At the party, you told me to open my eyes. You looked at Layla and Jack. What do you know? David set down the coffee and rubbed his neck. Didn't want to drag you in, but fine. A few weeks ago, I was in the workshop. Layla came over, all shaken up. Before that, I heard Martha yelling on the phone. Something about Jack and a procedure. Screaming that Layla was a fool for listening to him. That now she couldn't have kids and she'd taken grandkids away from us. Alex's pulse surged. Procedure. Layla had said she couldn't have children. Medical issue, she cried. But she never told him details. You think Jack talked her into it? David lit a cigarette, smoke curling into the morning air. I don't know, but Layla, she's soft. Jack's got that charm. If he wanted to influence her, he could. Alex stood, pacing the dock, the wood groaning beneath him. He stared down at his own reflection, shaky, unsteady, like everything else in his life. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I didn't want to wreck your world, David said quietly. But at the party, I saw them laughing in the dark like I wasn't even there. I lost it. I just didn't want you to end up like me. Alex turned to him. What do you mean, like you? David flicked the cigarette into the lake and stared after it. I married Martha because I loved her, built a business from scratch, worked myself to the bone. Then she started cheating. First with people I knew, then whoever. I knew everyone did, but I stayed, no prenup. Thought love was enough. Now, if I file for divorce, she gets half. She's just waiting to gut me. Every damn day, she rubs it in. Alex sat back down, heart thudding like a stalled engine. You think Layla would do the same? David looked away. She's not Martha, but she is my daughter. If Jack got in her head, I don't know, she might follow him. And you? You're too decent to see it coming. The fishing float bobbed, but neither of them moved. Alex stared at the water as if the truth might surface. I hired someone, a detective, he said quietly. We'll know soon. David nodded and clapped him on the shoulder. Good, keep me posted. And listen, don't let her make another me. You've got a prenup, right? Yeah, my dad insisted on it. David gave a bitter grin. Smart man. At least you've got a way out. They sat together in silence, watching the lake turn gold in the morning light. The fish didn't bite that day, but Alex didn't care. He left the dock with a sick feeling in his chest and a decision quietly forming. The days that followed felt like a slow-motion crash. He moved through his routine, coffee, short flights, fake smiles, but inside everything boiled. David's warning gnawed at him. Every hour, Alex checked his phone. Nothing. Then, on Wednesday morning, while Layla packed up for her ceramics class and chatted about glazes and an upcoming exhibit, Alex barely responded. As soon as she pulled out of the driveway, he grabbed his phone. Still no word. Then it rang. Unknown number. "Yes?" he snapped. "It's Kane," the detective rasped. "Got something? Meet me in an hour. Same place." Alex hung up, his pulse already pounding. He grabbed his jacket, flew out the door, and drove like it was a Mayday call. The office hadn't changed. Still stale air, ashtray smell, chaos. Kane sat at his cluttered desk, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. A thin folder and a sealed envelope sat in front of him. "Sit. I hate being hovered over," he muttered. Alex dropped into the chair, hands tight in fists. "What do you have?" Kane tapped the table. "Let's just say they're not exactly talking about weather forecasts." "Say it straight." Kane slid photos across the desk. Alex leaned in. First, Layla and Jack at a cafe, holding hands, faces too close, laughing. Second, leaving a motel. Jack carried her bag. Layla glanced around like she was making sure no one saw them. Third, through a car window, blurry but unmistakable, they were kissing. Alex felt the floor tilt. It wasn't drunken paranoia. It was real. "When?" His voice barely came out. "Yesterday and the day before. I started Monday, cafe, motel, backroads. They meet when you're gone, same old story." Alex stood and paced, his breathing ragged. "What else?" he asked without turning. Kane lit a cigarette. "That's all for now. But if you want the full truth, texts, calls, accounts, I can dig deeper. It'll cost more." Alex spun around. "Do it. I want everything." Kane nodded. "I'll have a full timeline in a week." Alex pulled out the last of his emergency cash and dropped it on the table. "Bring me something I can use. Not just images. Proof." "I get it," Kane said. "Just be ready. This breaks people." Alex didn't answer. He stormed out, shaking as he turned the ignition. Instead of heading home, he drove to the river and parked near the cliffs. The air was sharp with pine and cold water. He lit a cigarette, his third of the day, despite having quit years ago. He opened his phone gallery. Layla on the beach at their wedding, laughing with birthday cake. But now each image looked like a stranger's smile. Was it ever real? He flicked the cigarette into the water and watched it sink. Back home, Layla was at the stove, humming as she cooked. Garlic and spices filled the air. "Hey, honey, how was the city?" she asked, smiling. "Fine," he muttered, dropping his keys. "You look pale." She stepped closer, hand brushing his cheek. "You all right?" Her touch once soothed him. Now, all he could see was her in someone else's arms. "Yeah, just tired." He turned away. "I'm gonna lie down." He climbed the stairs and shut the door behind him. The bed swallowed him whole. He stared at the ceiling, heart heavy. The pictures from Kane were tucked inside his jacket, now hidden in the closet. But the truth clung to every word Layla spoke, every look she gave. She acted normal, pouring coffee, asking about his flights, but nothing felt normal anymore. Her voice sounded rehearsed. Her warmth felt like a lie. Friday night, Layla casually announced she had a bachelorette party, someone from her ceramics class. Alex sat on the couch, beer in hand, while she grabbed a towel and headed for the shower. 5 minutes, she said, setting her phone next to her bag. "Then I'm out the door." The bathroom door clicked shut, followed by the sound of running water. Her scent, floral and vanilla, still hung in the air. Alex stared at the phone. His heart pounded. This was his chance. He stood, walked over, and picked it up. Her passcode? Their anniversary, 2510. It unlocked. He scrolled quickly through messages. Friends, Martha, then Jack. His chest tightened. "Jack, you free tonight?" Layla. "After the bachelorette party." Layla. "Motel, quiet, no one bothers." Jack. "Told you it's perfect." Layla. "He won't even blink. He suspects, but he's too soft to dig." Jack. "His softness is our blessing." Layla. "Warehouse tomorrow at 8. Jack. "Got it." Layla. Just don't stretch it out like last time." Alex froze. Too soft. He, the man who stood by her for 10 years, who held her when she cried about not having kids, was now just a joke in their private language. He scrolled further. Jack. "That night was fire? Want to repeat next time he's flying?" Layla. "Yes, just keep quiet." Alex quickly screenshotted everything and emailed it to himself, then deleted the traces and placed the phone back where it was. A few minutes later, Layla walked out, hair wet, towel wrapped, smiling. All done. Just need to change. You okay? You look pale. Alex stared at her. That face, so familiar. But now, all he could see was betrayal. Just tired, he said evenly. Get some rest. She touched his cheek, still damp from the shower. Don't miss me too much. She disappeared into the bedroom, then reappeared in a black dress with a low cut. She kissed him on the forehead before heading out. See you later. Alex didn't move. The bottle in his hand was shaking. He said nothing, didn't yell, didn't follow. He didn't need to. Kane would find the rest. But this was already enough. Upstairs, he collapsed onto the bed. Her words echoed in his head. Too soft, he won't twitch, but something new had started to rise in him. He wasn't soft. He was a pilot, and he knew what to do when the cabin depressurized. Stay calm, find control. She got home after 3 a.m, reeking of wine and someone else's cologne. She mumbled something and passed out. He just watched her sleep, heart pounding, pain and fury mixing into something cold and sharp. Saturday morning, she shuffled into the kitchen in his old t-shirt, barefoot and tousled. She asked if he'd slept well and to grab bread if he passed the store. He nodded, said he had to go into the city, and left, though he never planned to stop at the store. He drove straight to the bar where Jack usually killed his Saturdays. Alex knew the place, knew Jack's rhythm better than he wanted to. He wasn't there to confront him, not yet, just to see his face, to feel the weight of betrayal. The place was nearly empty. Jack sat at the bar in his old leather jacket, sipping a Budweiser. When he saw Alex, he lit up. Hey man, didn't expect you. Come drink with me. He slapped the stool next to him. Alex sat down, ordered a beer, and studied him. No shame, no guilt, just that same cocky smirk. Thought I'd stop by, been a while, Alex said coolly. Yeah man, you're always flying. How's Layla? Still molding clay? Alex gripped the bottle. Her laugh with Jack in that photo flashed in his head. Same as always, Jack grinned. You working? Girls? Drinks? Life, man. Gotta take it while it lasts, Jack said, raising his bottle. Alex forced a nod. How could he sit here so casual after what he'd done? I've been thinking, Alex said. Maybe I trust people too much. Jack paused, then laughed. Nah, man, this world's a jungle. Eyes open always. Alex finished his drink, tossed a 10 on the counter. I should head home. Layla's waiting. Say hi to her for me, Jack said, grinning. Don't be a stranger. Alex walked out without a word. In the truck, he gripped the steering wheel, hands trembling. Jack was unchanged. No flicker of guilt, just lies behind a smile. How could they? He hadn't thrown a punch, hadn't shown the messages, but every second of that conversation etched itself in his bones. He didn't need more evidence. He had all he needed. Back home, Layla sat in the living room, flipping through a magazine. Did you get bread? I forgot, he said, tossing his keys down. You're acting weird, she said, standing, frowning. He looked at her. The face he once loved now mirrored the one who'd whispered motel plans into Jack's ear. Yeah, he replied, voice like ice. Maybe I am. Sunday night left Alex floating in a fog. Layla hummed to herself in the garden, pruning roses like nothing was wrong. He sat on the porch with cold coffee, pretending to read the paper, eyes locked on her every move. But he'd stopped looking for excuses. The screenshots and Jack's smug face at the bar were the spark. Now he needed the fire. Kane would bring it. Monday morning, just after a flight back from Chicago, the phone rang. Layla was still asleep upstairs, her usual weekend recovery. Alex picked up in the kitchen. Miller, Kane, report's ready. Get here in an hour, the detective said flatly and hung up. Alex didn't bother with excuses. He grabbed his keys and left. 20 minutes later, he pulled up outside the office. The familiar stench of stale smoke and burnt coffee hit him as he stepped inside. Kane sat at his cluttered desk, sleeves rolled up, circles under his eyes, but sharp as ever. Sit, this is the end of the line, he said, lighting a cigarette. Alex dropped into the creaking chair. Give it to me. Kane opened a thick folder, tossing photos, notes, and printouts on the table. 2 weeks' worth. They're not just cheating. They're full-blown lovers, routine, scheduled. Alex picked up the first photo. Layla, lying on a motel bed, Jack shirtless beside her, hand on her thigh. Next, a cafe in a nearby town, her hand on his knee, fingers intertwined, laughing. Third, a dingy warehouse, mattress on the floor, Jack kissing her neck, her eyes closed. Fourth, same motel, leaving together, Jack holding her bag, Layla scanning the parking lot. Alex's hands tightened around the photo. His chest felt like it might explode. "That it?" he asked, voice strained. Kane pulled out more papers. Messages from her cloud. Password was your anniversary and her name, Sloppy. Alex read them in silence. Motel Friday. Did he fly out? Yes, see you Wednesday. Love. His schedule helps us. Sometimes I feel guilty. Then it fades. Alex dropped the pages like they burned. She knew. He muttered, she just didn't care. There's more, Kane said. Motel manager recognized them. Always paid cash, roommate heard them. Jack told her not to change a thing. This wasn't spontaneous, it was structured. 3 motel visits a week, cafe every other. Warehouse when you were out of town. Alex stood and stared out the window. Rusted cars, gray sky. The pressure inside him swelled like an overworked engine. He could storm home, throw the photos in her face. He could find Jack and break his jaw, but he wouldn't. Not yet. Anything else? He asked. Calmer now? That's the full load. My job's done. You want revenge? That's your call. Alex tucked the folder under his jacket. How much? You're paid up. Good luck. You'll need it. Alex walked out and into his truck, hand trembling as he turned the key. But he didn't drive home. He headed for the river, the same one where he used to fish with David. Parked at the edge, he lit another cigarette, his 5th in a week. The air smelled of pine and cold water, but it didn't cool the fury building in his gut. He laid the photos on the hood. Motel, cafe, warehouse, same 2 faces, same acts, same betrayal. He didn't cry, didn't shake. He made a plan. Step 1, divorce. The prenup Layla insisted on before the wedding would leave her with nothing but Jack. That was fine. Let her keep him. As for Jack, he'd pay, somehow. Alex didn't know how yet, but he would figure it out. He stayed at the river until dusk, the wind tugging at the corners of the photos like ghosts whispering. He thought about returning home, looking her in the eye, sleeping beside her, pretending. He could do it, for now. A week passed, 7 days of silence, 7 nights of pretending. She cooked, smiled, laughed like nothing had changed. He responded in short phrases, ate quietly, kept his distance. But in his mind, it was already over. The folder Kane gave him stayed hidden, but its contents were burned into his memory. Every message, every photo, every timestamp. And the prenup, signed before the vows, was now his shield. Layla wouldn't get a dime, only Jack, and that was going to hurt more than any fight ever could. Early Monday, Alex packed a suitcase with work clothes and flight documents, slipping Kane's folder into a drawer in the garage. Layla was still asleep. She always slept late after the weekend. It gave him just enough time. He called John Kelly, a friend from flight school who now handled divorce law. Alex, long time. What's up? I need a divorce. Fast, no losses, Alex said, standing by his truck. Damn, okay, coming at 10. You all right? Yeah, he lied. See you soon. He left a note for Layla on the kitchen counter. Out on business, back tonight. Kelly's office was a small place off a busy street. John met him at the door, silver creeping into his temples, same laid-back smile from their training days. Talk to me, he said, motioning to a chair. Alex dropped the prenup on the table. She cheated. With my best friend. For years, I've got everything. Texts, photos, I want out. She gets nothing. John flipped through the papers, eyebrows raised. You weren't kidding. This contract's solid. The house, car, accounts, they're yours. With this evidence, things will move fast. You sure? Dead sure. John filled out the forms. Alex signed them, hand tense with rage. John filed them on the spot. She'll be served in a day or 2. If she fights, we go to court. But with what you have, she'll lose. Are you ready for that? I've been ready. Alex didn't drive home. Instead, he parked by the river and lit another cigarette. His 6th since this started. Smoke curled into the air as he stared at the water, mind racing. He could have waited, but pilots don't avoid storms. They fly through them. That evening, he returned home. Layla was curled up on the couch watching TV. She looked up and smiled. Hey, babe. Long day? We need to talk, he said, tossing the keys on the table. She sat up, sensing the shift. What's going on? Alex stared at her. The woman he married was gone, replaced by a lie that lasted 7 years. I filed for divorce. Layla froze. What? No joke. I know about you and Jack. I've got proof, photos, messages. 7 years, Layla. Motel, cafe, warehouse. And the procedure. You never wanted kids. You did that behind my back. It's over. Her face went pale. Wait, I can explain. Please, explain what? He snapped. How you lied for 7 years? How you let me grieve over kids you never intended to have while you were sleeping with him? Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't mean to hurt you. Jack was just there. You were always gone. I didn't want to lose you. I love you." He laughed bitterly. "You love the life, not me. You chose him but clung to me for safety. Save it." She dropped onto the couch, crying into her hands. "Please, we can fix this. 10 years. Alex, I'll do anything." He stood firm. "You already spent 7 years fixing it with Jack. I'm done. You'll get the divorce notice tomorrow." Her head lifted, face streaked with tears, but anger burning in her eyes. "You think it's that simple? You'll ruin me. What will people say? My family?" Alex stared back. "You signed the prenup. You get nothing. And what if I tell everyone? You think they won't ask questions?" "Let them," he said coldly. "Let them ask why you slept with my best friend for 7 years." She shot up, voice rising. "You're heartless. I'm human. I made mistakes. You were never home. Jack gave me something you didn't." Her chest heaved. She fell back onto the sofa, broken. "What do I do now? Where do I go?" "Go to Jack or Martha. Doesn't matter. You've got a week to pack." Without waiting, Alex turned and walked upstairs. Her sobs echoed behind him, but he didn't look back. He shut the bedroom door, dropped onto the bed fully dressed, and stared at the ceiling. Rage still burned, but beneath it, relief. That night, Layla wandered the house, crying and slamming doors. He stayed where he was, calm in the storm. In the morning, she'd get the papers. She'd know this wasn't a bluff. This was the end. The next day, Alex left for a flight to Detroit. He didn't say goodbye, just left a note. "You have 1 week." Alex spent the entire flight thinking not about Layla, but about David, the man who first opened his eyes. A man trapped in a loveless marriage with no exit plan. If Alex had escaped, David deserved the same. When he got home Tuesday evening, the house was quiet. Layla was gone, her note on the table. "At Mom's. We'll talk later." He crumpled it and tossed it. Then he called David. "Alex? Everything okay?" His voice was rough but surprised. "This isn't about me," Alex said, staring into the backyard. "It's about you. Be here tomorrow, 9 a.m. David gave a short laugh. "All right. Martha's off at some spa. I'm free." Alex hung up. He grabbed 2 beers from the fridge and set them on the kitchen table. It wasn't the dock, but he figured a quiet conversation over drinks might be more productive. David wasn't just his ex-father-in-law now. He was a man still stuck where Alex used to be. No prenup, just a business he built by himself and a wife who would take half. At 9 sharp the next morning, David pulled up in his Dodge, bottle of whiskey in hand. Alex opened the door. "Kitchen, beers are cold." David dropped his cap on a chair. "Beer before noon? You trying to spoil me?" "This is serious." They sat across from each other. David cracked open his bottle and studied Alex. "All right, what's going on?" Alex leaned in. "I filed. Layla and Jack weren't a fling. It was 7 years. I've got proof, messages, photos. Even found out she had the procedure done before we ever talked about kids." David froze. 7 years? Jesus! I figured there was something, but damn. And you followed through? She cried, screamed, blame me, but I'm done. Thanks to the prenup, she gets nothing. David leaned back, stunned. "Proud of you, man, really. You didn't let her break you. Meanwhile, I'm still sitting in my own mess with Martha." Alex nodded. "It's time, David. File for divorce." David chuckled, but it was bitter. "Easy for you to say. I've got no contract. Everything we built, she'll rip in half." "I get it, but it doesn't have to be that way," Alex said. "You've said it yourself. Your life with her is a cage. Let me help." David narrowed his eyes. "How?" "She'll gut me." "We get a lawyer, a real one, someone who knows how to fight for what's yours. We'll show the court the business was all you. Her affairs? It's leverage." David stared for a long moment, then took a deep breath. A flicker of life came back to his eyes. "Hell with it. Maybe you're right. I'm tired of it all. If you find the lawyer, I'll do it." "You got it," Alex said, clapping his shoulder. "Today." They finished their beers in silence, staring out the window. As David stood to leave, he said, "Call me tomorrow. I'll be ready." "I will." The moment David left, Alex picked up the phone and called John Kelly. "John, I've got a tough one. My ex-father-in-law, long marriage, no prenup, big business at stake. We need someone good." John didn't hesitate. "Sarah Lynch, she's a beast in court. Handles high-stakes divorces like it's a sport. Want her number?" "Give it to me." Alex called Sarah immediately. Her voice was brisk and confident. "Sarah Lynch speaking." "Alex Miller, John Kelly gave me your number. It's about my ex-father-in-law, David. He's divorcing. No prenup. He owns the business. She wants half. All right, she said, her tone softening slightly. What kind of business? How long married? Any proof of cheating? Alex laid it all out. Warehouses, trucks, 40 years of marriage, and a wife whose affairs were basically public knowledge. Sarah listened carefully, asking sharp, efficient questions. Is the business in his name? Can we get witnesses? Absolutely. Then we've got a shot. Come in tomorrow at 10, Main Street, 3rd floor. I'll take a look. Thank you, Alex said. He hung up, feeling lighter. Then he called David. I found our lawyer, Sarah Lynch, you, me, tomorrow, 10 a.m. David paused, then let out a breath. Thanks, man. I'll be there. Alex set the phone down and glanced at the empty beer bottle on the table. He had pulled himself out. Now it was David's turn. Layla was gone. Martha still held on. But Alex and David, they were done being dragged down. Tomorrow, they'd take the first real step out. Alex knew they needed more than rumors to protect David. Real evidence that would hold in court. On Tuesday morning, he sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, Layla's note long since tossed in the trash, thinking only of David. He called Kane. Miller, what now? I thought we were done, Kane said, voice gravelly. This isn't about Layla. David's divorcing Martha, no prenup. She's aiming for half his business. Kane snorted. Martha, everyone knows she's trouble. I don't have time, but I know a guy, Tom Reed, digs up financial dirt like no one else. I'll send his number. Thanks, Alex said. It's urgent. He called Reed immediately. The man answered on the first ring, direct and to the point. Reed. Alex Miller, Kane sent me. My father-in-law is getting divorced. His wife, Martha, is trying to take half his company. Trucks, warehouses, 40-year marriage. We need leverage. Reed paused, then said, Yeah, I've heard of her. Rich girl, no brains. If she's been hiding something, I'll find it. Meet me tomorrow at 9. Bring $500 up front. Deal? Alex said, and wired the money. That evening, Reed called again. Got something. Come now. 3rd Street, 2nd floor. Alex drove straight there. Reed's office was small, cluttered, dimly lit. He sat behind a desk stacked with papers, a folder, and USB stick in front of him. Sit. You're going to want to hear this. What did you find? Alex asked, heart pounding. Reed flipped open the folder. Martha's been siphoning money from David's business for 10 years. Fake vendors, front companies. She moved over $200K into her own accounts. Forged his signature using the company seal while he was out of town. Alex scanned the documents. Bank statements, fake contracts, names he didn't recognize. She stole from him? He asked quietly. Absolutely. And that's not all, Reed continued. She's got a lover, Richard Cox, runs a repair shop. I found old messages in her cloud. They planned to run away together 5 years ago, but she stayed when she realized she'd lose the money. He plugged in the USB and played a recording. Martha's voice, sharp and nervous. Rich, I can't leave now. He'll find out about the money. I'll be left with nothing. Then take more while he's blind, the man replied. Give me a couple more years, she said. Alex sat still, fists clenched. That her? He asked. Yep, Reed said, sliding over a photo of Martha and Cox outside a motel. There's more, he added. 2 years ago, she sold one of David's warehouses and pocketed the money. Forged paperwork, he had no idea. Alex nodded, eyes locked on the damning photo. Is this enough? Plenty, Reed said. With this, the court could drop her share to almost nothing. Alex took the folder and flash drive. How much do I owe? Another 500. Good luck. Alex paid and drove off, calling David on the way. I've got what we need. Fraud, theft, a lover. Meet me at 9 tomorrow. We're going to the lawyer. Are you serious? David asked, stunned. Dead serious. The next morning, David arrived looking worn but alert. At the kitchen table, Alex laid out the proof, documents, bank records, photos, audio. She stole $200,000. Sold a warehouse, forged signatures, and she's been seeing a guy named Cox. David's hands trembled as he flipped through the evidence. I knew she was cheating, but this? She stole from me while I worked myself to the bone. Now we take her down. At 10, they walked into Sarah Lynch's law office. Tall, sharp, and all business. She reviewed the file, then leaned back in her chair. This is solid. Fraud, theft, adultery, we file today. She'll be lucky to get 10% of the business, if that. David nodded. Let her burn. She drafted the paperwork. David signed without hesitation. A day later, Martha got the notification. She called David, screaming, but he didn't answer. The trial was set just 2 weeks out. With overwhelming evidence, it moved fast. By mid-April, they were in court. The courtroom was small, lined with wooden benches and the scent of old files. Martha sat across from them, dressed in a designer suit beside her sharp-suited lawyer. She looked confident until Sarah laid it all out. Financial records, forged documents, photographs, witness statements, and recorded calls. Her attorney tried to object, but the judge, an older woman with a tired gaze, shut him down. "Mrs. Martha, this isn't just infidelity, it's fraud," she said, flipping through the pages. "Mr. David, the court recognizes your sole contribution to the business. You are awarded 70% of the marital assets. The remaining 30% will go to the respondent. This decision is final." Martha stood, shouting about fairness, but the judge struck the gavel. David turned to Alex, his voice steady. "Thank you. I'm finally free." Alex nodded, the weight lifting off his shoulders. Martha lost more than the case. She lost her grip. They walked out, leaving her behind, stunned on the courthouse steps. David clapped a hand on Alex's back. "You got me out. Now it's your turn." Alex smiled. It wasn't just a win for David. It was closure for both of them. By the time Martha's trial ended, the tides had turned. David kept his company. Warehouses, trucks, everything. Martha walked away with just 30%. And Layla? She had packed up and vanished. Her divorce notice went uncontested. She knew the prenup had left her nothing. It was the end of one life, but the next hadn't quite begun. On Friday, the airline sent Alex his next assignment, Seattle with a layover in Denver, 5 days on the road. Normally, he hated being away that long, but now it felt like a lifeline. The silence of his empty home, the lingering scent of her perfume. It was too much. He packed his flight bag, zipped up his uniform, and drove to the airport without looking back. The flight to Denver was smooth. Clear skies, quiet cabin, passengers slept. His co-pilot, a young guy named Mike, chatted about his girlfriend, but Alex barely heard him. His focus was on the sky, not the words. That night in Denver, he checked into a modest hotel near the airport. The room was standard, bed, TV, a view of the parking lot. After a hot shower, he headed to the bar downstairs, ordered a beer, and sat alone by the window watching runway lights in the distance. He didn't want quiet. He wanted unfamiliar noise, something that didn't remind him of her. Half an hour later, a tall woman in a Navy flight uniform walked up to the bar. She had short brown hair and green eyes. She ordered a whiskey, scanned the room, and caught his eye. Alex gave her a polite nod, pilot to pilot. She walked over, drink in hand. "This seat taken?" "Nope," he said, surprised but open. She sat. Her uniform was wrinkled from a long day, but her gaze was bright. "You fly?" she asked, nodding at his airline logo. "Yeah, headed to Seattle. You?" "Los Angeles, early morning leg." She smiled. "Caitlin, but call me Kate." "Alex," he replied, her voice cutting through the static in his head. They started with small talk, flight routes, weather patterns, passenger complaints. She was about 40, 10 years in the air, full of stories. She laughed, telling one about nearly missing a runway in her rookie year. Alex smiled for the first time in weeks. Kate raised an eyebrow. "What brings you here, besides work?" He hesitated. A lie would have been easier, but her look was open, no judgment. "Divorce," he said flatly. "Filed a week ago? Needed space?" She nodded. "I get it. My ex ran off with his secretary 5 years ago. It was brutal, but time fixes what it can. Flying helped." Alex took a slow breath. "That's what I'm hoping." They talked for another hour about her teenage son, her motorcycle, the coastal rides she took after her split. Alex kept it brief about Layla, mentioned the betrayal, but skipped the names. Kate listened, no interruptions. "You're stronger than you think," she said. "Most people don't walk away. You did." He didn't respond, but her words settled somewhere deep. As the bar emptied, Kate stood, finishing her drink. "I'm wheels up in the morning. Maybe I'll see you in the sky sometime." "Maybe." "Give me your number," she said, pulling out her phone. "If you're ever in LA, I'll show you the best sunset." He gave it to her. She saved it, smiled, and walked off. Alex stayed behind, staring into his empty glass. Kate wasn't a rescue, and he wasn't looking for one. But she was the first person he'd spoken to without hiding behind anything. It wasn't love. It wasn't healing. But it was forward. Alex spent his days in Seattle buried in work. Flights, checklists, reports, hotels, airport diners, the usual routine. But his mind wasn't on Layla anymore. He thought about David, now free and rebuilding, and about Kate, her voice, her smile, that quiet steadiness he couldn't shake. One evening, Kate texted him. "Sunset in LA is on fire today." He replied, "Too bad I'm not there. Next time." It was simple. But for the first time, the future didn't feel empty. When Alex came home Saturday, the house was still quiet. But the silence didn't weigh him down anymore. He opened the windows, let fresh air in, and sat on the couch with a beer. Layla's divorce was nearly finalized. David had taken his life back. And Kate, well, she wasn't a promise, but she was something new, something possible. The trip to Seattle had done what he'd hoped. It cleared the fog. He was ready to move forward. The judge's final signature came in a week later. Layla hadn't contested a thing. She walked away with nothing, just like the prenup guaranteed. David called often, updating Alex on his new life, selling the warehouse, buying a car, rediscovering joy. But even as things fell into place, something still felt unfinished. Alex had always flown solo. Now he didn't want to land alone. A week after returning, a text popped up from Kate. "Tomorrow, if you're nearby." Coffee or something stronger, he smiled. That night at the Denver hotel bar still lingered in his memory. Light, easy, and real. "I'm flying into Denver tomorrow. Coffee sounds good," he wrote. Her reply was instant. "Beanhouse at the airport. 11 sharp. Don't be late, pilot." Alex landed at 10:30, filed his reports, and headed straight to the cafe. The Beanhouse was small, wooden tables, warm lighting, and the smell of fresh espresso. Kate was already there, seated by the window in jeans and a light jacket, hair tousled by the wind. No uniform, no pretense. "You're punctual," she said, motioning to the chair across from her. "I ordered espresso. Hope that's okay." "Perfect," he said, sitting down. They caught up. Her son Jake had re-injured his knee skating. She laughed like it was an old familiar story. He told her the house felt different now, emptier, but not in a bad way. Kate sipped her coffee, her expression warm. "After my divorce, I ran on autopilot for a year, just work and parenting. Then I bought a motorcycle and realized I was still alive. You need something of your own again." Alex smiled. "Maybe I'll get a bike." They talked for over an hour about delayed flights, annoying passengers, and how she once nearly dumped a drunk exec on an emergency runway. Her humor was dry, her energy grounded. She didn't try to fix anything. She just showed up. When their cups were empty, she asked, "Want to walk? I've got a couple hours before my flight." They wandered to a nearby park. Leaves rustled across the path. She talked about Jake, how he wanted to be a pilot, how she worried he'd inherited her stubborn streak. Then, gently, she asked, "Were kids ever in your plan?" Alex hesitated. He looked down at the scattered leaves. 7 years ago, my ex had a sterilization procedure. Never told me. I thought it was nature, but it was her choice. She was with someone else the whole time." Kate winced. "That's brutal. I'm sorry." He sat beside her on the bench, her presence grounding. "It's the past," he said. "The past teaches, but it doesn't define us," she said, gazing at the sky. "I thought I'd never trust again, but it wasn't about them. It was about me. You'll get there too." He nodded, letting her words settle. They sat in silence, watching the planes take off. Kate turned to him and smiled. "You're not as dark as you act, Alex Miller. There's something honest about you." He chuckled. "You too." As her flight neared, they walked back to the cafe. She grabbed her bag and turned to him. "I'm in LA tomorrow. Come find me. That sunset's still waiting." "Maybe I will," he said. And this time, it wasn't just polite. She waved goodbye and he watched her disappear into the crowd. She wasn't a cure. She wasn't a fantasy. But she made him believe in real things again. The weeks that followed were a blur of flights. Denver, Seattle, Chicago. He and Kate texted regularly. Nothing intense, just enough to stay connected. LA's skies are on fire again. Denver's gray, but the coffee's decent. They ran into each other in Chicago once. Total accident. She bought him coffee. He told her about David's win. She talked about Jake's skateboard trophy. Nothing earth-shattering, just easy human moments. A month after that first meeting, Alex sat on the couch at home, beer in hand, the final divorce decree in a folder on the table. David called to celebrate selling his warehouse. Everything had changed. Then a message buzzed from Kate. "If you're free, dinner this time." Not coffee. "Free. You picked the place," he replied. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real. Kate, gritty voice, sharp wit, steady eyes, slowly rebuilt his trust, not with grand promises, but with consistency. She didn't fill a void. She helped him stop fearing one. She reminded him that love doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. Alex had always been a pilot. He lived in the air, but now for the first time, he was learning how to land, with someone beside him. A year passed, fast but steady. Layla's divorce finalized last May. She left with nothing. Word was she lived with Jack now. It didn't bother him. David kept most of his business and called often. He and Alex, once tied by family, were now just friends, brothers in survival. And Alex? He rebuilt. By March, the house had changed. No more roses, just fresh grass and a grill out back. The walls were gray, the furniture simple. It finally felt like home. And sometimes when he came back from LA or Seattle, there was a message waiting. "Dinner tonight, pilot?" He always said yes. Saturday morning, Alex stood by the grill lighting coals. David was due at 11, as usual. Over the years, their ritual had formed: beer, steak, and real talk. Right on time, David pulled up in his Dodge, whiskey in hand. "Barbecuing again? You trying to fatten me up?" he called out, grinning. Alex flipped a steak. "You eat like two people anyway." David dropped into a lawn chair, poured himself a glass. "So, pilot, how's life? Flights? Women?" "Flights are flights," Alex said, cracking open a beer. "As for women, there's someone." David raised a brow. "Don't play coy." "Kate, pilot. Met her in Denver last year. We crossed paths, talk. No pressure." David leaned back, impressed. "Another pilot, huh? Sounds serious." "She's smart, real. Been through divorce, too. She gets it." "Then go with her," David said. "Live. You've earned it." They ate in comfortable silence. A year ago, Alex helped David out of a miserable marriage. Now their bond ran deep. More than family, they were allies. "How's business?" Alex asked, handing him a plate. "Running smooth. Got a manager now. As for Martha, heard she and that Cox clown opened a salon. She's burning through her payout. Let her." "No regrets?" "None," David said. "You woke me up. Even the whiskey tastes better now." Before leaving, David clapped him on the shoulder. "Don't forget me. And if Kate ever becomes more, I better get an invite." Alex laughed. "You'll be the first." After cleaning up, Alex sat alone in the yard. Layla and Jack were the past. David was part of the present. Kate? She might be the future. Then came the doorbell. He wasn't expecting anyone. Opening it, he froze. Layla, shorter hair, tired eyes, a paper bag in hand. "Hi, Alex," she said softly. "Can I come in? Just 5 minutes." He didn't want to, but he stepped aside anyway. She sat at the table, placing the bag down. "Cinnamon cupcakes. Your favorite." He stayed standing, arms crossed. "I came to say sorry." "For what?" "A little late, Layla." "I know, I messed up. Life with Jack, it's not what I thought. I miss you." He let out a cold smile. "Now that it's not so comfortable anymore?" Her eyes welled. "It's not about comfort. I loved you. Jack was a mistake." "No, I was in the sky. You were in his bed. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice." She stepped toward him. "Please, Alex, we had 10 good years. Can't we try again?" He backed away. "You didn't love me. You loved the life I gave you. Jack was your backup plan." Layla broke down in tears. "I'm scared. I'm alone." He didn't flinch. "You made your bed. Sleep in it. I moved on." Her voice rose. "With someone else? You really think she's better than me?" "You made your comparison when you slept with Jack!" he snapped. "Your 5 minutes are up." She grabbed the cupcakes, turned at the door. "You'll regret this. I was your family." He opened the door. "No, you were my mistake." She slammed it behind her. Alex sat down at the table, staring at the empty spot she'd left. The rage still burned, but beneath it was relief. Her tears and words meant nothing now. The door wasn't just closed. That entire life was over. 2 years after shutting the door on Layla, Alex's life had completely changed. His bond with David grew stronger, and the woman he met in a Denver bar, Kate, was now his wife. They'd married quietly in a Los Angeles courthouse, just her sister and David as witnesses. 9 months later, their house had a new rhythm. Kate was 8 months pregnant, her belly round beneath a loose t-shirt. That Saturday, they spent the evening at David's cottage, now their go-to spot for grilled food, laughter, and whiskey. Alex worked the grill. Kate lounged nearby with lemonade, her hand on her belly. David came out holding whiskey and 2 beers. "More meat? You trying to fatten me up?" he said, tossing cans on the table. "You eat for 3, Alex grinned. "I'm just preparing," David said. Kate laughed. "He's training to swipe food from the baby." David dropped into his chair, poured a drink, and squinted. "Who says I'm a grandpa? Too young for that." Alex sat beside Kate. "He's not calling you grandpa," Kate added. "Maybe grumpy old man." "That's your ceiling." David clutched his chest, fake offended. "This is betrayal. I supported your wedding. Keep this up. I'll move in and eat all your food. Alex nudged him. We'll lock the fridge. I'll break in faster than you land your plane, David shot back. And I'll teach your kid. Kate shook her head, laughing. Terrible influence. Alex raised his beer and clinked her can. Time to deport Grandpa. They laughed. Light, free, real. David wasn't just family. He was the friend who survived hell with Alex and came out stronger. Kate, with her sharp wit and warmth, was his second chance. When the laughter faded, David leaned forward, eyes softer. You two did good. I look at this and think, damn, I should have gotten out sooner. I'm proud of you both. Alex nodded. You're a big part of this, David. Kate squeezed Alex's hand. Our favorite curmudgeon. David smiled. All right. Eat your food before I take it. They stayed until sunset, talking about life, laughing at old stories. When it was time to leave, David walked them to the car. Take care of her, he said, patting Alex's shoulder. And call me when Junior shows up. Deal? Alex grinned. On the way home, Kate dozed off beside him, hand on her belly. Alex glanced at her, then back at the road ahead. The past was behind him. This was his landing. And it felt like home.